Hello folks, welcome back to the Homestead Skill of the Month Club. We're still in the month of garden soil and seeds, and we're still doing our tour of different people's gardens to celebrate the first week of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. Today is one that I've been so looking forward to sharing with you. This is one of my favorite gardeners. She is a YouTuber. She is a wonderful, authentic, real person. We had a great conversation off camera about authenticity and YouTube, and I'll tell you what, she and Nick are made of the same cloth. This is Chris Roth of Homeplace Journal, and we're here to see her urban, low-budget market garden.
Okay, I'm Chris Roth. I'm in Boise. My life has always been growing, gardening, and living simply. I got tomatoes, tomatillos, I got peppers, peas, carrots, onions, rutabagas, turnips, yeah, pretty much whatever your table likes. I'm growing for other people too. I'm doing a CSA this year. And tomatoes, I got, I'm not sure that right is, it's probably a mortgage lifter. I got hillbilly, boxcar willy, peppers. Most of the peppers I'm growing are sweet because, oddly enough, when I surveyed people that are doing the CSA, they don't want hot peppers. So I was like, fine, this works for me. So I'm growing, these are just getting going. These are regular bell. Regular onions, these are just greens. Parsley, or cilantro, kale. I also do herbs, like I got the milk thistle starting, chard. Just everything, but right now everything's just getting started.
Give me the rundown on this greenhouse. So we've got a wood frame.
Yeah.
And plastic?
Plastic. I've got some French doors in here. I tore down a building with the guy. They had a passive solar greenhouse. It was kind of like half greenhouse and half shed, and he wanted to build a garage, so he needed to tear it down. So in exchange for helping him tear it down, I got to keep the doors and the beams and the whole thing. Right. And I rebuilt this, restructured it, and made it like this. I got it a yard sale that I'm using for the beams. They're just old trellis pieces.
They're beautiful.
But they're sturdy.
Right.
And they hold the plastic up, and they're not very heavy, so I don't have to, you know, do the overhead too much. But I want to rework a lot of this.
And then you heat it with an electric heater, is that right? Yeah. Can I take a picture of it?
Yeah, until I get the, this is the third one this winter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they don't last very long because they have to go constant, you know, in that hard, cold nights. So right now it's good. We're in the 60s.
And how do you keep your temperature? How do you watch your temperature?
I have a thermometer here, and I have a thermometer on the far side down low, so I can keep a check of high and low levels. And it's always 10 degrees cooler on the far end because I've checked it multiple times. So that's how I keep it going. I've got some gals that are going to come out, and we're going to do one of the rocket mass heaters in here. Yes! I'm going to put the main unit over here. I've got some wallboard and everything. And then I'm going to dig this up, and I'm going to run it underneath. So it's got the radiant floor. That's what we're going to do too. Around the sides, but so the main area is not being stomped on. Right? Good for you. And it gets feedback, you know, from the air drift and everything. There will be dedicated beds with dedicated walkways. I will be putting rock around. And I'm not doing raised beds because, again, in the desert, the rate of moisture we lose in a day is crazy. Last year I tried to keep up just even on flatbeds, and our water bill was over $300 a month. So it's too much. I didn't have the mulch at the time, and I was just trying to keep up. So it basically leveled off even-wise as far as the produce we got out as to cost of water and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get that changed.
And you're using mulch to do that? Yeah.
Yeah. This year, hopefully I'm going to have 3 to 4 inches of mulch.
Good.
Around the plant, so that should hold most of the moisture in. And I can't do a raised bed, but I will do raised edges so that the wind coming across doesn't evaporate. It's a good thing in some places. Right now I'm very exposed. I don't have a wood fence around the yard, which would be great. Number one, it gives you privacy. Number two, it blocks the wind, makes it hotter in your environment. But instead of being a zone 6, I can make it up to a zone 8 in here if I had it fenced in. You can do microclimates. Right. And trying to grow in an open environment, you have a lot of elements you have to deal with. So this year at least I have sun for a long time. Last year I had big tree here, and I had shade until noon, and then shade after 2.
And this is just your second year in this space?
Yeah. And I'm doing this on the cheap because I don't have the finances to go out and buy new, and you know, I have a rotary type saw, circular saw, and basic hammer, nails, and stuff like that. And that's what I work with. I have an old pair of wire cutters that are angle cutters at that. They're not even straight cutters. I use that. And I go to Craigslist, I find freebies. I got this fencing. I got all the bamboo, which was a bamboo fence that I'm taking apart because it's old, and I'm just using it to trellis, to make trellising. So I'm going to have all peas and beans and melons and all kinds of stuff across that, and that's going to come around to this far end eventually. This side I leave open because that's the east, and I get the morning sun. So your morning sun is your best sun because your plants are just waking up, and it's a gradual, it's like having your coffee in the morning for plants, you know, when you get that sun early. And then if you get sun in midday and not early, they get scorched. You know, they go through a lot of stress, so you're losing the viability of your plants, their ability to produce their fruiting and, you know, roots and whatever. If you don't have that morning sun, it affects them. When I'm starting my plants, all I use is straight peat moss. I don't put anything to it, because when your seeds are starting, they contain their own pocket of nutrients and microbes and stuff. So until they start getting the second set of leaves here, you don't have to worry about it. So I put them straight in here because I'm going to separate these anyway. And the containers is whatever I can get. I get these at yard sales. I go and get the red cups. If people are giving away pots and stuff, I go get that. These trays that were left over from, you know, last year's crops and people buying, you know, for spring, anything. I just use whatever. If you got something that'll hold soil, hold peat moss, whatever, stick a seed in it. This is facing south, so when the sun's out, it gets pretty bright in here. Right now we've got clouds, so it's pretty shady. This has been strictly indoors, and they've grown fairly well. But it's only in these two zones with that they grow fairly decent, because these have been up for about a week and they haven't strung out yet, so they've done pretty good. See, down here, these were on the bottom, and these strung out completely. I've lost these. These are null and void now. But I had them on the bottom, and I wasn't paying attention when they came up, and I should have brought them up, and I didn't. So they laid out. From this point on, I try to get them out into the greenhouse, which is heated on that one side you saw, and try to keep the temperature around 70. At night, it drops down to about 55. When we were having the 0 degrees, I was struggling to keep it at 40, so I basically had to pull everything back in here. So this kitchen was boxes and plants, and it was a mess, more than now. And a lot of shifting, a lot of work, a lot of keeping up with stuff, and like I mentioned on your observation, you got to be paying attention to what's going on around you. You got to be paying attention to the temperatures, dryness. During their baby stage, it's like kids. You know, every time you don't hear something, go look, because there's probably something going on.
So can you explain how you water?
I am stuck on city water, which I don't like, and it's full of chemicals and stuff, which I don't like to use, but I have to. So what I do is load up my water the night before and let it set, and I put it where it's going to be basically the same temperature as the soil of the plant, so it's not shocking it. And then I water as needed through that day. I'm going to set up a watering system in the greenhouse, a holding pen. I may throw a couple of fish in there just for the heck of it, and use that, just replenish it, you know, every day, and try to use that for my garden and greenhouse as I can. This year I am expanding the garden, redoing everything, which I'm strict on time right now, to do a market garden and to do a nursery startup. And what I'm working with, bad soil, clay, and everything, I'm having to start basically from scratch. So it's a slow start, but it's a start. And you can do this. This is 6,800 square feet for the yard. So we're just under, a little less than a third of an acre, a little more, between a third and a fourth of an acre. And I've got chickens, I've got ducks, so it's a matter of going vertical and making the most of every little space I have, like French intensive, you know, plants on plants on plants, but you got to feed them really hard. I mean, you got to constantly come in. Instead of feeding them every 2 to 3 weeks, you got to feed them once a week, and you got to keep everybody happy. And trying to make the space work with less, but finding things to work with, you know, and making it happen. Because there's so much possibilities, and most people are so used to going to the store and having it given to them, you know, for in exchange for money. But basically being told, okay, you get these chemicals and you get this product and you do this at this time and that at that time. It may or may not work for your space, because every space is different. Every environment's slightly different. And your microenvironment or your open environment, depending on what you got, is going to make a difference on what you grow. So that's observation is your number one key, is paying attention to what you're doing, what's going on around you, and what you got to work with. But don't think you can't. Never think you can't.
So tell me about your channel.
My channel is Homeplace Journal. Basically, it's just as I go. I'm trying to take people into the experience of what I'm doing that time. Not prolific yet because I'm still caught up in doing this, but I want to catch up. But I want to show how you can grow easily, or with what you have. And if you don't have a lot, if you don't have money, if you don't have the produce, you know, the best land, the best zone, the best area, even if you're living off of a balcony, you can make it happen.
Yes, that's my message. You can make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Chris.
No, I appreciate it. I love that you're able to come out here and share with us. I wish it was a little better. Hopefully later on I can.
Yeah, we should come back and look at it when it's blooming.
Yeah.
When you've got a real produce, when you've got produce happening.
Yeah.
We'll be hearing from Chris one more time this week. She's going to be doing a tutorial for us on composting, which is a question that a lot of newbies and beginners have been asking me. And I thought, well, let's hear from a real expert about the different ways to succeed at composting. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If Chris can't get to them, I certainly will. And please do go check out Chris's channel, Homeplace Journal. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and happy gardening.
Happy gardening.